So as I alluded to on Facebook and Twitter, we're going to be doing the show a little bit differently from the last couple of times, and that's basically we're going to have a bit more of a kind of personal side to it. So we're going to have a type vlog type thing to start off with, and then we'll have the news later on. I'll leave time codes if I can remember to do them in the description down below if you're interested in just skipping to the news segments, and I'll obviously leave all links to the stories and stuff like that down there too. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the new format, and let me know what you think of it in the comments down below. So to let you in on the secret life of tech reviewers, well, it's bloody difficult. So today I've been reviewing the GTX 1060 Strix from ASUS. This is, I think, technically 2 days before launch. It's the Monday, and this card will be launched on Wednesday morning at like 1 or 2 a.m. for me here in the UK. So yeah, I've obviously got it early, as I fairly normally do, and well, if this material or this video goes out early, then yeah, I'm in trouble. But since it's probably going to go out a few weeks after this video, the review comes out, then it's not too much of a worry. But yeah, basically I got the card in this morning, went upstairs, filmed it, it was all good, it was awesome, and then I put it in the test rig, which is a 6700K gigabyte motherboard and SSD and all the rest. I was using Windows 7, and the card just wouldn't detect. It wouldn't pick up. So that was annoying. And I tried installing the public drivers and everything. That didn't work. I tried it on a different SSD with Windows 10, and that didn't work either. I tried it with an AMD APU motherboard just in case. I booted into Linux and ran LSHW just to make sure that it was detecting as an NVIDIA card, and it was. And then I contacted some people and they said they didn't have drivers, and then my lovely friend Dave Chaos sent me the current non-release driver for the 1060. Go check him out and go subscribe to him, he's awesome. But yeah, so we're finally running with a driver on the card, and we're finally able to install games. I had to reinstall Windows a good 10 times today, so yeah, I have to reinstall all my games, which takes a while. But once that's done, we'll have some benchmarks, and yeah, I'm sure I'll try and leave a card for the 1060 video up there. So I'm looking at the YouTube real-time subscriber counter, and it's showing 19,949. Now by the time I wake up in the morning, it's likely going to have ticked over to 20,000, and I probably won't get the chance to actually see the actual tick over itself. So I wanted to take this rather dimly lit opportunity to say thank you for everyone who subscribed, everyone who's sending me messages saying they really love the videos and that I deserve more subscribers. All the comments and everything, it's really, really awesome. This is my full-time job, so making this content is something that I'm actually doing on a daily basis, and it is a lot of fun to do. And it's really, really nice to know that you guys are enjoying it, especially enough to click that subscribe button. In fact, it just went up to 950, so that's awesome. But yeah, no, it really does mean a lot. Obviously, the supportive comments and messages and stuff are awesome. But yeah, I'm really glad that you're enjoying my stuff. Like, as I said, I do put a lot of effort into it every day, and especially with some of the reviews I do, it does take me a lot of time and a lot of stress and effort to do. So I'm glad that they pay off eventually. But no, yeah, thank you. It really is genuinely awesome, and yeah, I look forward to 30,000, 50,000, 100,000, and yeah, we'll see where it goes. Thanks, guys. So, thing number one, MSI Vortex video is now rendering, so that gives you an idea of when these videos go out. But yeah, also doing the Coolmaster Master Keys keyboard, which actually looks pretty awesome, so that's cool. And testing that out, and as you can see, I'm currently filming it, so yeah, just about done that one. Finished the 1060 review. I've got an MSI 1070 down there. And I'm actually waiting for a Gigabyte 1060 and 1070 to arrive as well. So that's awesome. Other cool thing is that Britain is ridiculously hot right now. I mean, seriously, like, ludicrously. I mean, it's actually quite overcast at the moment, but bloody hell, it was hot yesterday. I think it was like 32 something degrees, which for Britain, right, the country where it's meant to rain 24/7, that's pretty hot. Other thing, another thought I had recently while I was renewing my car insurance is that it really is just legal extortion, isn't it? I had to pay £1,114.71 for my car insurance. I drive a Volvo S40 1.8. It's not something that I drive much, actually. I genuinely don't do that much driving because I work from home, so the only time I go driving is if I need to, go see family or something. So I don't drive it much, and yeah, it cost me more than £1,000, which is a third of the value of the car. And I've been driving for 2 years, 2 years no claims bonus. I'm coming up to 20, or at least sort of 19 and a half as such. So, it's not as if I'm the world's most dangerous driver or anything, and yet it still costs me nearly £1 billion. But yeah, I don't know if it's the same in America, but every time I go on one of the calls for the insurance companies, they say, oh, we speak to other insurers to make sure we're giving you an accurate quote, which to me sounds like price fixing. Like, it sounds like they're saying, yes, we talk to other insurers so that they don't undercut us, so that you stay with us, and then we don't do that to them. So that's called price fixing, and it's meant to be illegal. But hey, oligopolies for the win. But it annoys me because that's quite a lot of money, and well, I've been driving for 2 years. I've done probably 20 to 30,000 miles, and I still haven't had a crash. So I'm again hoping that this year is just the same, but paying £1,000 for what may constitute to literally nothing this year, but because of the law I have to, so yeah, that's annoying. I guess I could do with some advice. It's to set the scene as such. On Wednesday I did 3 videos, so finished 3 videos, the AGS, the GSX, the Vortex, and the 1060? Or was that before? No. Something else. I finished some WD video or something. Either way, I did 3 videos, which is excessive for me because it was kind of the culmination of 3 days work, because I can generally do a video in a day, perhaps 2 if I'm really, really trying, and they're relatively quick to do. But yeah, so I did 3 videos on Wednesday. I also went to Tesco, played games, did a lot of other sort of more kind of businessy related stuff, was liaising with PR people, and a few other bits and pieces as well. And it got to the end of Wednesday, and I just didn't feel successful. I didn't feel like I'd accomplished enough, which is quite a reoccurring theme. It's quite a negative thing. Also, I quite regularly have the ability to just not feel, which isn't as fun as it sounds. I guess the lack of interest in things that I am normally interested in, playing video games, editing videos, watching tech and car videos and stuff, and it's a kind of almost like an emptiness which just can never be filled, with a kind of sad undertone. I also get quite worried about a lot of things, monetary income is a big one, which isn't helped by the many people and pressures that I have. So yeah, that's that. But yeah, as crazy as it sounds, I don't necessarily want to do anything about it, specifically because a lot of my drive and a lot of my success that I have is because of that. It's because I fight to overcome that, and I know that I still have to do it on my own anyway, or I can only get support with it, but it's just it's confusing, annoying, and difficult. It's difficult. That's probably the best way to describe it. But yeah, it's if you feel like this, you're not alone. Other idiots like me feel it too. That's that. So I want to make a point about sponsorships and sponsored videos before we close out. In fact, I think this will probably be the last piece as I close out. But yeah, so to make it clear, I'm sponsored by Gigabyte on the YouTube side. My contractual obligations to them are to give them the advertising space on the YouTube banner, so youtube.com/TechteamGB. Up there, the 300 by 200 sidebar ad and review priority. That doesn't mean that I give them any better scores. That just means if, for example, Intel were to launch a new motherboard lineup, so you know, a new chipset, so Z171 or whatever, I don't know, and I got a Gigabyte motherboard, ASUS motherboard, and MSI motherboard all at the same time. Because of the sort of sponsorship type thing, I would review the Gigabyte board first. Wouldn't change the scoring or anything, but that video would go out first as kind of initial advertising, because as you've probably seen, if I get a sample on the day of release, the views are often considerably higher than if I get a sample not on day of release, a couple of weeks later, a couple of months later, depending on availability of stuff. But yeah, so to make that clear, I don't change the scores. I'm very conscious of the fact that people sponsor me, and I'm very conscious of not changing. In fact, I'm often harsher, at least in my own head anyway, I'm harsher to the people who do pay me than I am to people who don't. And also MSI pretty much buy out the entire website, so yeah, that's that. Please stop asking me if I'm sponsored, if I've declared everything I need to, if it's legal or not. I'm trying to make a living. I'm trying to make videos that you guys enjoy. You clearly enjoy them because you continue to subscribe and like and comment, and I love you for that. But at the same time, I don't do the 2 in-place ads per video that people like Linus do. I don't do in-place ads at all, actually, right now. You know, I don't do many full-on blown sponsored videos, and when I do, I keep them as short as possible. I keep them as without opinion as possible. So, for example, the WD ones were complete just showcases, so that was a kind of, hey, look at this thing, this is what they want me to talk about, here you go, bye. So, you know, I try and keep it as short and kind of in out of my own opinion, and just kind of a here's a video, here's a product buy kind of way. So, yeah. A lot of the products I don't get to keep. The majority of stuff that, in fact 99.9% of the videos you see on the channel are from stuff that companies send me as either review units to either keep or to not keep, you know, to send back. So yeah, just to make that clear, it kind of gets annoying when I get lots of comments about, are you sponsored? Oh, you should have declared that in the video. Oh, no, you're biased, you're paid for by ASUS and NVIDIA. In fact, that was a fun one. Somebody was insistent and commented about 20 times to different people that I am paid by ASUS and NVIDIA. I don't directly work with NVIDIA, and ASUS really don't pay me. Like, I'm sponsored by MSI and Gigabyte, basically. They're 2 main competitors. Why would ASUS pay me on top of that? So, yeah. And now onto the news. Now we're going to do this a little bit differently as well. We're going to have Nathan join us as a sort of third opinion as well, just to give us a little bit of a different view on some of the topics and some of the interesting things that we're going to be talking about. So, yeah, enjoy. So first up we have the NVIDIA Titan X Pascal, or the XP as we'll likely continue to refer to it. It's basically a very over-the-top graphics card with 3,584 CUDA cores, meaning that it is ridiculously more than even the 1080, which has 2,056 if I remember rightly. Base clock of 1417 and a boost clock of 1531 with 12 gigs of GDDR5X memory with 10 gigabit per second bandwidth. So a pretty beastly card, but well, Phil, what do you think?
It's the same opinion I've had of every Titan that's ever come out. It's overkill that no one should buy unless they're really struggling to get rid of the $1,000 they've got in their pocket, or it's more than that anyway, but yeah, it's an overkill card that people are going to lust after and say they want, but really no one can actually, there's no use case for it. Like, there's enthusiasts, it's bragging rights, it's pretty, get a 1080 and just leave this one in your fantasies. It's stupid.
Yeah, so what do you think, Nathan?
Oh, well, I completely agree with everything that Phil just said. It's utterly pointless. It's going to be another thing with the old Titan X, the non-P version, which is just, again, a very stupid name. and really marketing needs to get their act together and sort something out.
And when the 1080 Ti or whatever else comes out in 6 months' time, you'll if you buy one of these, you will likely regret it. But yeah, that's kind of that really. I think it's a ludicrous card. I guess the nerd in me is still happy that it exists because it's so much horsepower. But at the same time, it's $1,200. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. the one interesting thing is that now we've actually got VR pushing things. There is a little sort of voice in my head that's going, "Hey, what about when they try and do 4K VR?" And it's at that point where I say, "Okay, let's give it a go." Like, obviously, we don't have the hardware to actually do 4K VR yet, like the headsets or anything. But when we do, maybe the Titan XP stupid name thing might actually be worth looking at. Until then, I'm just going to sort of forget it exists. So next up, we have the thing that's been consuming far too much of my life because I'm a bit of a sad git, Pokemon Go. Obviously, it's become a global sensation, bigger than, I think it's like more active users than Twitter. It's been downloaded more times than Tinder. And yeah, I think we're sort of want to focus on the sort of stupid stories that are surrounding Pokemon Go. For example, we've got this article on the Daily Mail website about a 15-year-old girl in America, had to be America, didn't it, who got hit by a car because she was in the middle of the road playing Pokemon Go. Yeah, I don't think this needs much explaining, does it, Nathan?
Oh, I really have no words to explain what this mother is thinking about when she's actually putting this story out there. It's completely stupid. One, it's not the game. It's entirely either your parenting or just your kid is an idiot. Just going to put it blatantly out there. If your kid walks into the road with their phone in their hand and does not think to look left or right, then they're just asking for trouble. And the fact they were playing Pokemon Go at the same time really just says it all about the stupidity of the game and how engrossing it is in people's lives.
Yeah, the first thing that it, like when you launch Pokemon Go, the first thing it says is be aware of your surroundings, and like, yeah, that you need to listen to that message. Like, come on, like there's been stuff where someone's like fallen off a cliff and stuff like that. I think someone died recently while playing it. But the important thing to note is that unlike what the mother of this daughter is claiming, it's not the game's fault. It's the people who are doing stupid stuff while playing the game, like driving or walking out into the middle of like, it was like a 4-lane highway or something. That's basically a motorway here in the UK. Like that, you're not even allowed to walk on those, let alone walk next to them. But you shouldn't walk out into roads. Yeah, it's quite amusing. The second story, because we wanted to cover a little bit of a range here, was that Nintendo, who are obviously partly to blame for Pokemon Go existing, they own 35% of Niantic Labs, the company who actually makes it, and basically, Nintendo made it clear to their shareholders that they only own 35% of Niantic Labs, and their share price plummeted by 17%. Now, do bear in mind that it went up by I think like 27% as of Pokemon Go launching, so they're still making profits here, but it is quite amusing that it's kind of that whimsical.
Yeah, it's the same sort of thing. It's like, oh, look, a thing's doing really well. Buy, buy, buy. Oh, it's not actually that good. Sell, sell, sell. It's the stupidity of the stock market. I think it's quite nice, sort of, the parallels that you can draw between this and the stupidity of just everyday people and their lives being hit by cars and blaming Pokemon Go. It's like Nintendo like, oh, our stocks are well, but Pokemon Go, we're not getting that much money. Oh.
Stocks may be well, but we might kill people.
No, that's the one thing I'm going to draw a line, because I know me and Nathan thinks Pokemon Go is stupid. I think it's going to be, the rapture for us all, but
when I tried to launch it on my phone, it literally says, unfortunately Pokemon Go has stopped working and crashes. So I've literally I've played it on someone else's phone. I thought, oh, this is actually kind of, well, stupid and quite rubbish, and I do not see how it engrosses so much people's time. And I will happily just go back to Pokemon Yellow any day.
Yeah, I know there's many people who think like that. I know there's certainly a few of my friends, notably the ones whose phones can't actually run Pokemon Go, don't think it's worth their time. I'm not sort of bringing that into anything, But
As someone
yeah.
who, when it came out, played Pokemon Go, but now doesn't, it's kind of a very featureless experience right now. I know that Niantic are planning on adding more features, especially stuff like PvP battles and stuff like that. But it's a lot better when you're in like big groups of people, as far as I've heard. So necessarily just going out and walking on your own isn't as fun as it can be.
Yeah.
And besides the nostalgia factor, I personally, like, my Game Boy Advance is literally just shy of an arm's reach from me, so I'd personally probably rather just go play that and play, Pokemon Emerald or Fire Red or whatever else I have available to me, or Yellow that's still in the cupboard over there. So yeah, that's my personal thoughts. It's alright, but maybe when there's more features, but nah.
Imagine if it does get like when you're sort of walking around and you see other trainers on the map and it will come up on the screen saying, "Oh, a trainer is due to a battle." Then I can imagine it would be a bit more appealing to myself. But other than that, it's just walking around for hours upon hours on end is just, I do that in a day's work. It's not an enjoyable experience in my own time.
Yeah, I think I want to bring it back, sort of round it off, bring it back to the first story I looked at with the stupid 15-year-old who got hit by a car. The media has always had a vendetta against video games, really. It's always been, video games are killing your children, video games are turning your children into murderous psychopaths, and all that kind of crazy, stupid stuff. I was going to use a rude word there, but held myself back. Yeah, so the one thing the media is really good is hating video games, but actually Pokemon Go has actually done a lot of good stuff. It's not a story we're going to go into a lot of detail, but there's actually a dog shelter somewhere in the world that has actually said, do you want to go play Pokemon Go? You're an adult, but you don't have any excuse. You don't want people to think you're playing Pokemon Go. You can hire a dog and take the dog for a walk. And they've actually made so much money. There's a waiting list now, and all their dogs that they've actually been hiring out have been adopted by people playing Pokemon Go. The thing is, you don't see that all over the media, because the media's like, video games, they're not good. Video games are terrible.
I've seen quite a lot of stuff of people saying that people with mental health disorders are genuinely getting better because of Pokemon Go, because it's making them go outside. Like the nerdiness compels them to go outside, which is obviously nice, and people with mental health issues getting better is always good. So just as a quick announcement, since we're doing the news here, Windows 10 actually becomes $119 as of tomorrow if you watch this on the day that it goes out. That's the Friday. So if you watch this and you're still debating getting Windows 10, I'm actually not entirely sure if you should or not. In fact, yeah, that's another debate entirely. But if you were thinking about it, bear in mind that tomorrow is tomorrow is out of bounds. You have to do it today. So just bear that in mind. So another quick one is that the Kick-Ass Torrents website has been taken down, and its founder-creator has been arrested and is apparently looking to be extradited to the USA, despite not actually being in the USA and not being, I don't think he's actually visited the USA either. So that's another case of interesting US Department of Justice power. But yeah, anyway, Phil, what do you think?
Do you know that stupid film Pop is in Team America World Police? It's a little bit what it is at the moment. America are being the world's police in terms of piracy, and to be fair, I can see why. All the big intellectual property makers out there, the film studios, the music labels, they are primarily based in America, and so they are trying to protect the interests of their corporations, even though, torrenting, since Netflix, since Amazon Prime, since Spotify, since Apple Music, since all these streaming services come around, it's actually going down. No, that's not good enough. They're still gonna, want to leap on board and sort of take down all of the internet pirates who are, I'm gonna say, actually doing very ever shrinking amount of damage to the industry. I mean, you see the salaries they can afford to pay their execs, they're not suffering. So I'm just like, America, calm down a little bit, please. And leave Edward Snowden alone. But that's just me. Nathan, how about you?
I honestly don't see the problem with torrenting. I mean, obviously, yes, it's bad and you shouldn't do it, and you should actually pay the record labels and the movie companies to actually have their products and content, but as you said, it's not going to make much of a difference whatsoever. The amount of revenue that they pull in from just having people that don't torrent and don't know how to torrent and generally want to be honest with this stuff they download, and They bring in so much money. I don't see the problem with this, and the fact that they've taken it down makes no difference. It's going to come back. It has come back. It's the same with Silk Road. They took that down, and as it says with Hydra, you cut off one head, two more shall take its place. It's going to keep happening and not going to stop. It's a powerhouse that cannot be stopped.
Yeah, the irony is a little bit that the owner or the founder creator of Kick-Ass Torrents was apparently actually arrested because he bought music or something on iTunes legally. So if he'd only used his own service, he wouldn't have got caught, or at least not as quick anyway. So
yeah, the whole piracy thing. You think back. When I was very young, before I, was properly using the internet, there was a service called LimeWire that was basically the big P2P network of the day that everyone used, and obviously it was a huge thing. It's like, oh wow, LimeWire shut down. And like when Napster first came around, Napster was entirely P2P based, and the whole thing was like, oh, Napster shut down, oh, LimeWire shut down, down with piracy, long live legitimate buying of music. But they didn't work. This isn't going to work. There are literally hundreds of thousands of websites where you can find either torrents or direct downloads or streams of anything you want. So America are going to be making a lot of enemies if they, keep rounding up all those darn awful pirates of the world. Up next, we're going to be looking at Edward Snowden, that name that we've all come to know and love. He has actually partnered up with a guy called Bunny Huang, fancy name, to create a phone case, in essence, that can track the electronic communications modules within your phone, so like your GPS, Wi-Fi, mobile data, cell connection. It can track all the actual electronic components in your device, and it can actually tell you whether they're communicating or not. It's more of a modification. You actually have to service the phone, open it up, and connect it all in to get it to work. So it's less of a plug-in, plug-off case and more of a serious modification. And it can tell you if your phone is in airplane mode, whether these are actually being used or not, whether they are receiving electricity. I forgot what powered devices then, to actually communicate with the outside world. So there's like the horror stories, like police can listen to you when your phone is switched off, and stuff like that. Nathan, what do you think?
It's going to be another thing that America try and absolutely annihilate, isn't it? Come on, they're trying to spy on people, and people like Edward Snowden just are awesome, and I quite enjoy the stuff that they do, and I quite like the stuff that they do. But this phone case, I think, is quite good. It's an engineering marvel. It's for how it works and how it really shows what can be seen by everyone else, even if our phone is either switched off or in airplane mode. Just shows how much spying goes on by the governments nowadays.
yeah, I mean, I think the main use case for it is, or at least the ones outlined anyway, are either people who are in very oppressed countries where the government is very actively spying on them, and if they say the wrong thing on a direct message or a text or something, then they get like murdered, or specifically for people like journalists who go to places like oppressive regimes and who don't want to be tracked anywhere. So for stuff like iPhones, when you put it in airplane mode, it doesn't actually disable the radios inside. It just disables the software access to them, which means that your phone is still technically pinging the tower, or at least is able to be pinged by the tower. So if someone wants to track your location, they can still do it even if it's off or in airplane mode. So this case allows you to fully turn it off, and also it notifies you if someone's effectively sent that request as well. So it's as Nathan says, it's kind of creepy, kind of terrible that it has to exist, but at least it exists now.
Yeah, it sort of. I don't think it's going to be sort of what it'll stay quite niche, because not many people are going to be wanting to open up their phones and wire stuff into them. And obviously at the moment it's just iPhone, so it's not exactly a ubiquitous solution. I think it's good this kind of thing is being considered, but then it sort of harks back to when CCTV was first becoming a thing, and there was outrage, and there were people coming up with ways like how to hide from CCTV, how to obscure your face, and like when car cameras where the speed cameras were becoming more of a thing. Is like, it's my privacy. I don't want people seeing me driving, and they will find ways to like obscure their number plates. Ultimately, I have a feeling, and this is sort of a little bit of a 1984 vibe, that this kind of stuff is gonna get more common, and I guess as a society we are going to move to accept it in the same way that we have CCTV. We are going to sort of slowly, it's the whole sort of, if you throw a frog into a boiling point, it's going to leap out, but if you sort of slowly bake it in, then it's going to die. I don't know, that was a little bit of sort of my dark take, that eventually we are going to become this we are going to become this sort of authoritarian thing where we accept that monitoring is a fact of life, or Edward Snowden is going to become the new prophet of everyone and save us all.
And now for what's probably our biggest story, because, well, one, we're nerds, and two, we're massive fangirls, but basically Tesla and Elon Musk have written their master plan part two, as he says, with some rather interesting revelations from the first one. Obviously the first one mostly being create a low volume car with the Roadster, create a slightly higher volume car with the Model S, and then a very large volume car with the Model 3, which is currently coming out. So he's basically delivered on his first plan that he wrote about 10 years ago. So this new plan consists of, basically, to summarize, solar energy and batteries for homes and for general workplaces and stuff. More Tesla vehicles, so not just cars, stuff like trucks, like actual, hauling, moving things around the country, 18-wheeler type trucks, as well as pickup trucks for, Americans that like pickup trucks, buses, and, pretty much anything, so that they have an entire fleet of, if you want a car, you can pick any type of car, and Tesla probably make it. Fully autonomous cars, that's going to be relatively soon via fleet learning, which they're actually not a million miles away from. In fact, well, okay, they're about 5 billion miles away from it, but it's apparently going to be 10 times safer than human driving, and basically an Uber for autonomous Teslas, where it will go home or go to a quick charge station, charge the car up, and then spend all your day that you're working earning you money. So yeah, it's let's get initial impressions. Phil, what do you think?
Elon Musk is lovely, isn't he? I want to have him over to my flat for dinner. He's just such a great man. He started out, his story of how he started with eBay and PayPal, he came from very humble origins in South Africa, and he has never gone into these companies since the millennium to make money. He's gone in to make life better. He's made a lot of money as well, which has allowed him to buy some small islands and nice things like that, but generally his companies are focused at actually not just profit for the shareholders, but actually making the world a better place. And yeah, this second part of his master plan has just sort of proved that he's not sort of lost his way and got sort of blown away by the money. It's all the news outlets want to talk about, but no, he's actually serious, and he wants all these things to happen. If you remember, it was the Hyperloop thing, was we want to make a way of travelling better than trains, and he designed it over a weekend, and now they're building test tracks. My god, the man's brilliant. I just want to squeeze him. He's great. he is. If I was to worship a religion, it would just be Elon Musk. I would. It's going a little bit far, perhaps, but he's
possibly.
I think, but no, in all seriousness, this second part of his master plan, that's sort of following on from the first he did 10 years ago, is great. And yeah, I'm sort of words. He's good man. Keep doing what you're doing, Elon.
Nathan, what do you think?
Words elude me for the mastery that this man has. He's basically a humanitarian, isn't he? He's fantastic. He just wants to make this planet a better place for everyone to live in. And quite simply, when he released all of his patents, just for the world, do with them as you wish.
Yeah, for free.
Play around with them, and let's make this world better together, is just phenomenal. And you get most billionaires nowadays. Donald Trump.
God damn it.
I knew he'd come up.
12 or so billion in just money, and he just wants to make this world a better place for everyone to live in. And quite simply, when he released all of his patents, just for the world, do with them as you wish. Play around with them, and let's make this world better together, is just phenomenal. And you get most billionaires nowadays. Donald Trump. and still remains one of the most humble, great people out there is just phenomenal. And the fact that the stuff that he's doing in this master plan part 2 is just it's brilliant, really. I like the self-driving cars. The self-driving cars just is something that is very appealing to me. I
Yeah,
like the
so I
idea
had
of the Ubers that just come to you with no one in, and you just get in and off you go, and then they go back and they charge themselves, and it's definitely a new frontier for how we travel around and how we get around and do our day-to-day things without the human element putting our lives in danger.
I actually had a drive. I had a passenger seat ride in a P90D, which is it's a ludicrous vehicle. I've got just to nerd out over the Model S for a second. It's absolutely insane. The instant torque that you get from the electric motors, because the D was dual motor, so it was all-wheel drive, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Any speed, you still get pushed back into your seat because you have all torque immediately whenever you want it. It's absolutely incredible. You also the autopilot. It was a little bit strange, especially for more sort of like country road type things where it's the lanes aren't entirely like fully defined. Like it's very much a motorway driving experience type thing, because even when on a very well-defined road, it will go to the left, find the line again, then go to the right slightly, and it will slightly hunt along the road. If you're familiar with electronics, it will go sort of left and right type thing, and it's not a perfect, it doesn't sit perfectly in the middle of the lane. But we've seen plenty of times in news stories where people have had dash cam footage and stuff of it actually saving lives, like a truck swerves in front of them or something and almost sideswipes someone going like 90 miles an hour, and it's moved out of the way and braked so that the other truck doesn't hit it. Like, it's an incredibly awesome technology. And obviously, it's still in beta. One of the things they say in the plan is that until they've reached a 10x safer than human driving standard with autopilot, they won't remove the beta tag. But it's not a beta in the kind of there's some bugs that it might kill you. Like that's not what it means by beta. But it's Teslas are awesome. I love them. If I could afford a Model S, I would. At some point, I'll probably get a Model 3 once they're actually available in the UK. But goddamn, they're awesome.
Yeah. You can see from what he's saying here, all of this stuff is like, obviously there are skeptics in the world, but for the most part, people can say if this is all done right, I don't think there's any arguing that all this is great stuff. Like, there is no downside to autonomy. There is no downside to, like, he's got 4 points at the bottom: create stunning solar roofs with seamless integrated battery storage, expand the electric driving vehicle line to address all major segments, create self-driving capability 10 times safer than manual, and enable your car to make money for you when you aren't using this. That's that whole autonomy thing. You have a car, it takes you to work, it goes, and it's your personal taxi that makes you money for people who can't afford cars. Like, just think of the implications of that. Your car is no longer going to sit on a drive anymore. Your car is going to be almost like another part of the family. It's going to be out there giving taxi rides to people who need them, making you money from selling taxi rides, and then you still have a car at the end of the day that you can use. It's freaking incredible.
So something I heard from some people talking about this was that they were a little bit concerned that if you find your car after it's been doing a day of taxi driving, that it comes back and there's like spills in the back, or like it's ripped to shreds, or somebody's like tried to nick it or something. Like, there will obviously be, what I assume would happen is some of the Uber app, where you have your credit card details, your like home address, your phone number, and everything on file, so that if you do screw with someone's car, you can immediately be traced and found and made to pay whatever it costs to fix the car. So that also does ease some worries. The other thing was that the solar energy / batteries with it, sort of that setup, it's actually a really awesome sort of way to do things, especially because coal and the current state of nuclear reactors isn't great. So they're, generally speaking, none of the energy sources besides the renewable energy sources like hydroelectric and stuff like that, obviously wind farms and solar. So coal and gas and nuclear really aren't that safe, efficient, or effective right now, despite being one of the most popular used plants and reactor types. So I really wish we could go to solar, and I definitely think that Musk will be helping with that a lot.
Yeah. On the responding to your security thing, I think stuff like people trying to take over the car, we won't have to worry about. The car will protect itself. Like in terms of the actual car being damaged and stuff, obviously I think the cars will be fitted with cameras on the inside, and you can see if anyone spilled stuff, you can immediately tell what trip it was on, and like you said, actually find out who's responsible and take all their money. But I think it's part of this bigger thing that we want society to actually progress away from, like, this whole idea is like, oh, I'm just going to lark around and piss around this person's car, and actually, like, this person is giving you a service, and like people actually becoming grateful for these things, and obviously taking out it's all these things. The point of failure is the human element. It's not the fact that, you know, it's someone driving around the car pissing off the people in the back so they're going to wreck it. It's you've got humans in the back of your car. It's animals, basically. Like,
talking from a haulage perspective now, that is what I like. I like lorries, and I like things to do with haulage, and I like heavy haulage. If you could...
Euro Truck Simulator.
Yeah, we didn't have to bring that up, did we? If you could in turn not completely remove the human aspect from haulage, because the human aspect is a wonderful thing with regards to that, and the knowledge base that you have to do things like that and maneuver those massive trucks through tight streets and things like that, I just don't think that I'm going to be able to see computers and vehicles do that and map that perfectly and make it through. It's going to be a definitely human thing. But if we could have, you know, like the general lorries or just the general cargoes, if you could have the human drive for its certain allocated time, which is between 10 to 15 hours, and then instead of stopping, you just sleep, and your truck continues along its route and you rest, but you still arrive at your location, it would in turn make everything a lot better for a haulage company. It would be very pricey to implement, and I can imagine it would, but you could make quite a few gains off it as well. I mean, if you just had a general net trailer, if you put solar panels along that entire top, that's a very large surface area, and if you've got a large fleet of those, you could in turn have a battery packs inside the back of the cab, charging everything as you go along. You could also have a bit of power left over. You could sell on that power. You know, it's an extra little bit of money if you want to chuck it through. It's because them trucks are going to be out all day, all night, everything. They're going to be storing power, making power, and just trucking away. So if you could in turn store that power to them when they get back to the yard, you offload that power and you sell on that power, it's another phenomenal market that people could then move into. But I can't see a human element being completely removed from that. But
I think
you could work it through and have it partially autonomous lorries and autonomous vans and general haulage things. It would be brilliant for the market and for how everything works, especially with ships as well. I mean, the shipping lanes are a phenomenal thing, and to have autonomous ships going to and from places, going around all the different dodgy bits of rogue waves and where all the storms are and manoeuvring, but not having a human element there to counteract that and go through it. It would just go where it needs to go. It would take as long as it needs to, but it would get there. It would get there safe. It would get there efficiently, and it would just work. And again, you could power the entire thing just off solar power, just in the middle of the sea, solar panels all over it, have it powering it, go through. I wouldn't like to see it on planes though.
I think there's certainly some work to be done before that's possible.
Yeah, we're a little way off. I mean, Solar Impulse at time of recording has just finished its circumnavigation of the world, but that's one person in a very, very light, small plane. We are we are a long way off passenger jets, but I don't think it's impossible. Motors are getting better all the time. I don't know if anyone has watched the new seasons in the UK of Robot Wars. The robots on there are a lot better than they used to be. There is a lot more power there. It is a lot easier to build a better robot. So essentially, I reckon we are going to see Elon Musk basically standing on top of his massive island in the middle of the ocean, looking at all of society and thinking, what can I put my technology inside of next? Just grabbing everything and putting it inside and making it better. Elon Musk is just going to make everything better, I've decided. Yeah, no more Statue of Liberty, no more Eiffel Tower, no more Big Ben. Tear them down and just have a big, huge statue of Elon Musk, our saviour. I would say a better, brighter tomorrow, but that sounds like a video game where everything goes terribly, terribly wrong.
It sounds like a presidential campaign slogan or something. To bring it on all back. And so that pretty much wraps up the show. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you feel affected by any of these topics, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. But also, if you have enjoyed this newer style, sort of changing things up a little bit for many different reasons that I'm sure I'll answer in the comments. But yeah, if you have any thoughts on it, feel free to let me know in the comments down below so that I can improve for next time, especially if there's any little tweaks, or if you'd prefer to just see us go back to the older way of doing things, then again, feel free to let me know. But yeah, otherwise, don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you all again next month for the show. We'll see you all, I think, tomorrow for the next video, but also on Monday as usual.